Hello all. This is recording number 3. If you've listened to the previous 2 recordings, you know that over the last couple of years, 2 years and 7 months to be exact, and 136 episodes of the blog, there's been some feedback. The kind of feedback that has led to these recordings, such as, I don't have time to read. I'd listen to it if that was an option. You should tell the stories, people would listen, etc. So since it's Limb Difference Awareness Month, and I've been working on change, I thought it the perfect month to roll out something new. If you've listened to the previous 2 recordings, you know that I'm starting by recording the Liability series, which Liability Part 1 was blog post number 122 and recording number 1. Liability number 2 was blog post 123, and this is now recording number 3. And this is essentially Liability Part 3 and was posted to the youdon'tneed10.com website April 16th of 2024. After I finish the recording of the Liability series, which is today is Part 3, then I'm essentially going to start over with episode 1 and tell them to you in order one by one. If you've been following the blog all along, this may not interest you, but I'll be adding things here and there and maybe have a different perspective or something that I forgot to share the first time around. So while it may seem redundant to those of you that read every week, there will be new things. I'm starting by recording the Liability series for the same reason that I'm rolling out something new. This Liability series is the epitome of what I'm trying to accomplish with this blog, bring awareness and change to the Born Different community. The Liability series has been the number 1 shared and commented series in all 136 post history and is still relevant today. If you've had the chance to read episode 136, you realize why the Liability series is still relevant. If you haven't had the chance, I suggest you read or listen to Liability Part 1, then Liability Part 2, and then today I'm recording Liability Part 3, aka I meant it. When I said I wasn't done talking about Universal Studios Volcano Bay Water Park, I meant it. When I said this is going to be a lengthy and time-consuming process, I meant that too. If you've been with us from the beginning of 2024 and have been following the Liability posts, you're ready for this one. If not, I encourage you to catch up on the website. youdon'tneed10.com/F/liability and youdon'tneed10.com/F/liability-part-2. In Liability Part 2, I talked about needing to finish my complaint with the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. I finished and submitted that February 1st of 2024. The last thing I said about this topic was, let's detour a bit from this topic of the last few weeks. At this point, there's not much to report, and I need a break from talking about it. It's been a lot. It's emotional, and it will be a long, ongoing process. It has, however, reminded me of a few things. One being, every time we travel, it brings out more from everyone, more from all angles related to Paisley. It also brings out more reminders that her life is lived differently. So that should catch you up to this month, which oddly enough is Limb Difference Awareness Month, and even more reason for an update on this topic. This topic right here is why we need more awareness and why I'm going to keep this up. 2 Thursdays ago, I received a phone call. I missed it, but my caller ID came up as U.S. Attorney. Odd. But I saw that the phone number was from Tampa, Florida. Then I read the voicemail. I rarely listen to a voicemail unless it's a voice I want to hear or the translation didn't come through properly. The voicemail said this: Hello, this is so-and-so at the U.S. Attorney's Office. I'm calling you in regards to the complaint that was received and was wondering if you would be available to speak with our attorneys sometime in the next week. If you could please give me a call back, you can reach me at 813 and then the rest of her number. My heart was pounding right out of my chest. I couldn't wait to call her back. I didn't get a chance until Friday to be by myself, have my documents, be in the quiet, and have enough time to not get interrupted and to record the call. I had no clue what they were going to say, and I wanted to be fully prepared. Friday, I was set up and fully prepared, and the person I was supposed to call back didn't answer, so I left a message. I waited impatiently all weekend for Monday to come around. Monday morning, I was super busy, but mid-morning, as soon as I got a chance to again be prepared and not get interrupted, I called back. This time I got the woman that had left me the message the previous Thursday. She told me that they were calling to set up an appointment for me to meet with U.S. attorneys regarding my complaint. I, of course, agreed and was more than happy and willing to meet about this. We scheduled for the next available appointment, which was the next day, a Tuesday, which to me is important. Tuesdays are our day. Tuesday, I was beyond anxious and excited. I left work a few minutes early, ran home to get set up for the phone meeting. I again wanted my documents, the quiet, and possibly record this event. I was beyond impatient for the meeting to start, and even though it was only about 9 minutes late, I was losing it. I was sweating, but I was ready. I had some good luck charms in place, and I was ready, beyond ready for this. I'm going to keep the specifics of the phone meeting to myself, not because I've been told I can't talk about it, but because at this point, I think it's probably appropriate. But I will share a few fun facts. I submitted my complaint to the ADA when what I was calling the American Disability Association is actually the American with Disabilities Act, and it's not an entity, it's a statute, a law, and governed by the Department of Justice. So, the fact that the lady at Universal told me the ADA reviews their policies monthly and they are in compliance is probably not accurate, as there is not someone with the ADA reviewing policies. I submitted my complaint. During submission, I saw that it can take up to 3 months to review a complaint. I have logged into my account and looked many times, but there had been no update. Apparently, whoever did read my complaint, though, passed it along to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Florida without contacting us for more information or needing anything further. The phone meeting was with 2 U.S. attorneys from Florida. They started by introducing themselves. They explained that they are working on this matter together. The complaint that I filed with the Department of Justice regarding my daughter's experience at Volcano Bay. I can't remember which one said what and when, and since it was via phone, we couldn't see faces, so I couldn't keep it straight. So moving forward, I'm not going to use names. The attorney then explains that the Department of Justice at times refers cases to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Then she says they are both members of our civil rights unit, and our responsibility full-time is to look into alleged violations of federal civil rights laws, to include the Americans with Disabilities Act. So we've been assigned this matter and have already started working on it, and we just had some follow-up questions for y'all, and also wanted to have the opportunity to introduce ourselves. Before we went further, they asked if we had any questions, and we said we did not. After introductions, they moved on to asking us if we'd ever filed a complaint before and understood the process. We were honest and told them that we had never filed a complaint before and had no clue how it worked. The attorney then says the process. We start with a preliminary inquiry where we gather information, and then if there's cause to believe that a violation of a federal civil rights statute may have occurred, then we open an investigation. And at this time, we have opened an investigation to look into this further. That is where my eyes well up with tears for the first time. The attorney then goes on to say we are in the early stages of this process, gathering information from us, and will likely request information from Volcano Bay, the larger parent company, Universal Studios, etc., regarding the matter. The attorneys were quick to tell us, Russell and myself, that they represent the interest of the United States government and not us. And they reminded us again of this at the end of the meeting. They are investigating whether there was a violation of the law. Their job is to enforce the law and see that an ADA is being upheld. They can rule in our favor by saying that a violation occurred, but they are not our attorneys. They are representing the law. In that explanation, though, they did ask us what our goal was with this complaint and what outcome we wanted for this. They cannot make any guarantees, but she said it's helpful to know what your interest was and what your wishes are regarding this matter. If you're familiar with how court cases work, I would call this the beginning of the discovery phase of the case, and they are interviewing multiple people and taking it all in. After their request, I have submitted my blog posts, a picture of the map that we were given that day at the park that was circled with what Paisley could do, copies of the policy that I have seen since being home, all email correspondence with Universal, and we answered many, many questions during the hour-long meeting. They were thorough, to say the least, and I felt in their voice they heard us, and they understood our complaint. They didn't make any promises. They explained how this process will work, and they will be in touch with us if they have any more questions or have any updates to share. Again, this is going to be lengthy. From what I understand, they will be looking over all my information and requesting data from Universal, interviewing people at Universal, investigating the rides, investigating the manufacturer's requirements of the slides, etc. They have to look at this from every angle. Since we made noise the day of the incident and had email correspondence as well as phone calls with Universal after we returned home, they felt it was likely that Universal would know the identity of the complainant. We said that was fine. I also said in the meeting that I had told Universal I wasn't going to be quiet. They informed us that it was against the law for Universal to retaliate against us in any way. Overall, the meeting went really well. Russell and I were both pleased with their response to our complaint and the information that they wanted to talk about. We felt just and right to us. A couple heartwarming quotes from the attorneys. And I quote, "Listening to your experience really made me feel for you all, especially Paisley." Another one, "I can tell by listening to you that this impacted not only your daughter, but your entire family during this visit." So in honor of Limb Difference Awareness Month, we are making noise. We are being heard. Change is needed. Change is coming. That policy cannot stay. Please keep us all and this situation in your prayers. Thank you for listening.